In today's video, we are closing in on completing the major track works and construction for the layout extension. So in this update, we will be showing you the final paper mill track layout design and start with some of the paper mill building mock-ups to give you a sense of how things are going to look. And we round out the video by talking a little bit about the Tortoise switch machine installations. Plus a sneak peek at the first test train. Our next video will have a complete operating session. As always, here's a side-by-side comparison of where we were at the end of the last video and where we are now. At first glance, it may not seem like very much has happened since last time, but look closely. I had dozens of comments from my viewers on this issue of the diamond, and every single one said, put in the diamond. I was already leading that way, frankly, but it was nice to hear feedback, positive feedback from the viewers. Anyway, this is what I purchased. I had to scrounge around to find one. They're not always easy to find, code 83, but I did. So it has now been installed, and you will see next how it changes the track plan. This is an updated version of the expansion track plan based on all of the items discussed in our last video. So for example, we have the wood chip area converted to a coal stockpiling area. And we have this track here that passes through the coal dumper, and it is stub-ended, not going anywhere beyond the backdrop. And we have the power plant here that's taking in coal through the conveyor system into the power plant, as we saw it arranged in the last video. This lighter green area is reserved for the pulping plant. That will probably be scratch built, as I don't think the Walther's kit is available anymore, but it might be a fun project to scratch build. This building here could be a boiler recovery system, could be based on the Walther's kit, but it's very similar. In fact, it's identical to some components of this kit here in the power plant. I'm not sure I want to do that. I may kit bash it out of those extra parts. And then this light green here is where outbound liquid chemicals from this process get shipped. Here we have the kiln area and the reconstitution process, so there'll be lime brought in and covered hoppers for the reconstitution process. Over to the right here we have our chlorine tank area, and as we saw last time, the spots for the inbound recycled paper. We still have the track going through the backdrop, but it is not a switch lead anymore because we have put in the diamond. And the switch lead is now the main lead through the yard. So that's fine. We still have the two production lines, one here and one here, and each with a track on either side for either powdered commodities coming in, whether it's starch or kaolin, or liquid kaolin, calcium carbonate. Again, we see the tracks going through the wall here that give us at least 6 car lengths for each production line, plus a fair switching lead for inbound trains for the locomotives to come out, run through the yard, and hold on the other side, while the local yard crew goes about its business and puts together the outbound train later in the day. The Walther's paper mill kit is a good size building, but I don't think it should be sitting all by itself. So I'm going to walk you through here what we're doing with this first kit, and there'll be a second kit to follow to create the sense of a very large paper mill. One of the interesting things about Walther's kits is that you find various kits will share common sprues. So in this case, the paper mill has some parts from the recovery boiler house, including one of the sidewalls and the exhaust stacks. These will come in handy later when I get around to some kit bashing. As I am fond of doing, I unwrapped the kit as if it was flat against the wall rather than all four sides standing alone. It gives you a much larger footprint to work with. It certainly doesn't look anything like anyone else's version of this Walther's kit. But in this case, you'll notice it's different from the track plan we discussed earlier, just because I came up with a different idea as I was placing the bits and pieces. I like to try different ideas. But in this case, the track does not go through the backdrop, which I don't mind. I don't really like the idea of trying to hide another hole through the backdrop. So this was an interesting example of just playing with ideas. In the end, this exact concept didn't quite work because the track would stub end at a truck door. And I thought about maybe blocking off one of the four doors with a track bumper and bricking up the entrance. It's a possibility. But in the end, I came up with a more interesting, I think, idea. So many of the paper mills, prototype paper mills that I researched had tracks sneaking off in between narrow alleyways between buildings. And I thought, here was a perfect way to do just that. It also allows the track to extend. While it is technically through the backdrop, it's between buildings and through the wall into the next room, allowing for, again, more cars to be stuffed in there to other parts within the paper mill. Thinking here perhaps is that some of the inbound chemicals, let's say the starch or dry powdered kaolin, is offloaded behind the building and is shoved down through that alleyway on the same track that's used for the unloading of the inbound recycled paper. This shift in the entire building allows for a tighter alleyway for the main yard throat between the two buildings off to the right. And I think this is better for camouflaging the main hole in the backdrop. So what I'm going to say next is going to sound a little bit hypocritical or contradictory, but sometimes it's okay to use a Walther's kit sort of the way it was intended to go together, but with some twists. So for the second paper mill, yes, it's the same kit. I think it's okay when you're using multiple kits to make a larger facility, but again, not making it exactly the same as everyone else's. I opened up an entranceway through the rear wall of the building to match the one on the kit that's already made on the front of the building. This is to turn the building around and have cars be shoved in for loading on the opposite side. So it really doesn't look like the way it's advertised by Walther's, but it is almost assembled the same way. You just have to cut a hole for a door. So here's my first attempt at the two paper mill buildings side by side. You'll see that the track at the far right was the one originally intended to go into the building, but by turning it around and having the track going into the building on the left side, there's no room for the track beside the main yard throat for unloading chemicals. But that's okay because we had a very long curved lead that was going to go into the building, and this track can be converted for unloading liquid kaolin. There have been many examples of paper mills with curved unloading tracks for these short tank cars. And as with the other paper mill building, by having the track go inside the building and not having the track for the liquid kaolin beside the building outside, it narrows up the space where the track disappears through the backdrop, hopefully making it easier to camouflage with a connecting section between the two buildings, like an employee crosswalk or some such thing, or internal conveyors that carry products between the two buildings. That's something that also that I saw quite a lot of in my research, connecting sections between buildings, making basically archways that the tracks go under. So a perfect opportunity to use that to camouflage the opening in the wall. I also briefly toyed with the idea of shifting the second paper mill over closer to the yard throw track, really tightening up that space where the track goes through the wall. At the same time, I toyed with the idea of using some of the tanks that came with the kit to also create a sort of a view block of the opening in the even the backdrop wall. In the end, I realized that the track maintenance crews would really be upset with having zero access to all the switch points for maintenance. So I left the building where it was, figured I could have a small little path or rough road between the building and the track so that the pickup truck can at least get down there and service the points of the turnout. And at the same time, I could use the same idea of camouflaging the opening in the wall with some vertical tanks on either side of the track. So here we see the final track plan for the Q&NE layout extension. Sometimes you just have to play with things with your hands on the layout before you stumble across the final arrangement. You can't always come up with the best or final plan just on CAD or with your pencil and paper. So this was a fun exercise. In the end, I think it worked out really well and will be fun to operate. So I hope you think this is an interesting track plan, and obviously happy to hear your comments on it. But it's been nailed down, so unless there's a really good reason to change it, I think this is the way we're going. As I mentioned in the last video, I had decided to have only the mainline yard leads and yard tracks elevated on the 3mm cork, and have all the other tracks, all the spurs basically, kind of sinking in the mud or at least at ground level compared to the yard tracks. To do this required transition through all the turnouts to all these spurs. I was thinking about going to Michael's to see what they had in terms of materials, like 1mm thick foam sheets and things like that. But just coincidentally, we had received some package through Amazon, and it was wrapped in this kind of very thin foam layer. And I thought that might be useful to build up a ramp. And so sure enough, I cut it into strips and then created ramps by stacking layers of increasing lengths, one on top of the other. And here's what one of those ramps looks like, assembled and then installed. There are 10 turnout locations in the layout extension that require Tortoise switch machines, as they are out of reach. So that means the staging yard and the switch track on the main track for the spur up to the paper mill. For the most part, I followed standard procedure in dropping a large pin or nail down this hole in the center of the throw bar through the pre-drilled hole, and then locating the drill points for the screws using the template provided by Circuitron. This was really back-breaking work because we had to work upside down to make final adjustments to the placement of the switch machines to make sure that the throw pin was perfectly centered on the closure rails. Not so much an issue for the number 8 Atlas turnouts that don't have the spring on the points, but for the Walters turnouts, I elected to leave the spring in to ensure a real firm closure when the turnouts did throw. This ensured that the points wouldn't move even when there was no power routed through the switch machines. To overcome the resistance to flip with the springs, a slightly thicker grade of wire is used with the switch machines. Instead of the thin one that comes with it, I upgraded to 032 wire for the most part, but I had a very stubborn switch that required an 047 diameter wire. I also realized after the fact that the turnout between the two paper mill buildings was somewhat of a challenge to reach to throw manually, so I removed the track, drilled a hole, and installed a Tortoise for that turnout only. So of all the turnouts within the switching area and the paper mill, this one will have to be thrown by a switch machine. And it's easy because it's right opposite the fascia, so the switch will be obvious for operators to use it. I grabbed a bunch of cars that just happened to be sitting in the lower industrial yard just to have a good test train to stress test the yard. Probably don't want trains as long as this. I think there's 16 cars here. But as you'll see in the next video, we're going to go through a typical operating session, or at least a delivery side. There's no pickups. The yard's obviously empty for the most part. But yeah, this will be a good test to see how well the yard is set up to handle a good sized train, and the maneuvers that you need to go through to run around and get cars spotted and placed at their appropriate sidings. So look forward to that in our next video. And here's an overview, one last look at the overall layout. So you can see the track plan as it has been finalized on both sides of the wall. And then I'll give you here a look at the final layout of the paper mill buildings, the two buildings, and then a close-up when we're done straight on, so you can see the narrow runway between the two buildings and the view blocks for the hole in the wall. Tune into our next video where we will undertake a thorough operating test and learn a thing or two about the quality of our track work and our design. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoy layout improvement videos, here are a few others that you may find interesting. If you're not already a subscriber, you can click on the logo on the top right-hand corner of your screen.